Hello and welcome back to Parc Fermé Parlay with Kieran Downey. The summer break is over. Formula One has returned. It's race week. That is 3 sentences I never thought I'd hear. That seems like the longest summer break in history. Probably wasn't, but it just feels so long. Like there was nothing coming out of the sport. Everything shut down. And I know they have to obviously close up their factories and only legal and cleaning and certain departments can keep running, but there was just nothing coming out of the sport at all, apart from rumours and an odd soundbite from Helmut Marko, who's still in the middle of a summer shutdown can find somebody to talk to. But as I said, it's race week. We are finally back. We are heading to Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. Another one of my, I wouldn't say it's my favourite, but I do thoroughly enjoy Zandvoort. It is a very different track to what we get anywhere else. The banked corners, it's small, it's tight, it's windy. It's going to be very difficult to overtake, so I'm going to say whoever gets pole probably win the race. Spoiler for predictions to come. But I'm just excited to have cars back on track. But let's get into our actual predictions for the race. And kicking things off with pole position, Max Verstappen. I think he's coming back this weekend. This is a track that he knows very well. He's driven on it so many times in his life. And he's a machine at qualifying. Look at Belgium. The Belgian Grand Prix, he was like 6/10 ahead of everyone else. And his qualifying there was insane. So I just believe that he's going to have a brilliant weekend this weekend, to be honest with you. And it's one of those ones where I feel like I don't need to explain why Max Verstappen's going to get pole, to be honest with you. I feel like that one kind of needs no explanation. All right, but moving on to P3 for the race, and I'm going Charles Leclerc. Is this the return of Ferrari? I don't know. I know they have a big upgrade package, I think, planned for next weekend for Monza. So I don't think we're going to get wins or anything. That delusion's for next week. But he is great at qualifying. I think he can qualify quite well. I don't think there's going to be a huge change in positions, to be honest with you. I think the way the race starts will be somewhat the way the race ends, minus a few positions changing at the start and maybe a few pit stop changes, because it is quite hard to overtake at Zandvoort, to be completely honest. So I do think he'll qualify quite well. We've seen in Belgium, again, that he is a fantastic qualifier. So if he can nail his qualifying, I think we've got a nice P3 return to the podium for Charles Leclerc, and I would really enjoy that. I think the Ferrari might be quite good this weekend, actually, to come to think of it. I think both Ferraris will do quite well, but Charles will get a podium. There we are. P2 for the race, Oscar Piastri. I think the McLarens are going to be really fast this weekend. Both of them. I don't think either of them are going to have any real issues. And I think that Oscar's just going to have, just going to be fast, have a good weekend. There's nothing I can really say that I don't feel like I need to convince anyone as to why I think Oscar will get P2. I think he'll narrowly miss the win. I think it'll be very narrow between him and Max for the win. But there we are. Max Verstappen, pole position. But yeah, no, I think that I think Oscar's going to have a great weekend. I do think at one point he is going to be leading the Dutch Grand Prix, and I think we're going to see some fantastic battling between him and Max. But Max will just manage to get his elbows out, scoot on past, and take the win. So for P1, Max Verstappen, return of the Max. Indeed. As I said, this track is a track that Max loves. The amount of times you've heard somebody say, Zandvoort's only on the calendar because of Max. It's a track he's driven on so many times of his life. He has dominated every time we've been at Zandvoort. When the Dutch GP returned to the calendar in 2021, Max has dominated and won every single Dutch GP. I'm going to say Max will probably win again. He's a machine. It's almost robotic the way he drives cars. But I don't see him having any issues. I think he'll absolutely nail this weekend. The Orange Army will be going wild. And I think he's just, this weekend, I don't even think he cares about the championship. I actually think that going into this weekend, he does not care about the World Championship. He's 78 points clear. It doesn't matter for this one weekend. What does matter is keeping his record of perfection by winning the Dutch Grand Prix again. That's all I think he'll care about this weekend, is just total domination. Keeping the perfect score of being the only driver to have won the Dutch Grand Prix since it came back in 2021. He's such a perfectionist that that's all I think that will be on his mind this weekend is, I don't need to worry about the championship just now. Let me just absolutely nail this weekend because I want to just win. And in turn, will extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship. This is the weekend I think we may start to see a return of form for Sergio Perez. Now, I know he qualified really good in Spa, but then he went from second, which should have been a podium, to P8 when the race finished, but then was promoted to 7 with Russell's disqualification. I do think that we will now start to see slightly better performances. I'm thinking we get a Q3 appearance. I'm thinking a decent qualifying, and I'm going to say a P5? Well, no, because I said both Ferraris would be good. And I also said that both McLarens would be quick. And there's no way I think that Sergio Perez is finishing ahead. Okay, I'm going to say he finishes P7 because I think we'll have a Lando... P6, because I think we'll have a Lando, Carlos, P4, P5, and then he can slot in, but then he's finished ahead of Lewis Hamilton. He's a good racer. I don't know why I'm like, oh, is it possible that Perez could outperform George Russell and Lewis Hamilton? Yes, he's won races ahead of them. What am I saying? See, this is what Perez's form has done. Yeah, I'm locking it in. Perez gets P6, but what makes it a slight return to form is that I think the field will be quite bunched up. I don't think there's going to be a huge gap between Max and Perez. I think this will be another weekend that Lance Stroll outperforms Fernando Alonso. I think that Lance will have a pretty decent race. I think he might get a wee, P10 or something. I think Alonso will finish outside the points, but I think we've got a good weekend coming for Lance Stroll. Don't really know why, but just feel it in my bones. My final prediction for this weekend is that Alexander Albon will now tally Oliver Bearman in the driver's standings with 6 points. So Oliver Bearman is P14, and then it's Pierre on the same amount of points, Kevin Magnussen and Esteban Ocon on 5 points each, and then Alex Albon on 4. I think Alex Albon's going to get maybe a P9, get himself a couple of points, and tally with Pierre and Bearman. I don't think any of those other drivers are going to score points this weekend. I think Williams are going to have a good weekend, actually. Scratch that. I think Alexander Albon is going to have a good weekend this weekend. I don't think this is the weekend for that one Logan Sargent point that I keep talking about that I think is going to happen in the next 10 races. I don't think it's this weekend. So I asked you guys what your predictions were for the Dutch Grand Prix, so let's quickly get into them. So Scorpion Sapphire predicts that Max will win, same, and then we've got a Lando Lewis top 3, but they also think Carlos could be on the podium. So similar, that we think it'll be Max, a McLaren driver, and then a Ferrari driver. I just don't see Lewis making a podium this weekend, but we'll see. Wigmanez? I don't know how you pronounce that, but Lewis to win and will be massively booed by the classless partisan crowds. Okay, I don't agree with the last bit. I would love Lewis Hamilton to win, to be honest with you. I don't see the Mercedes being that good around Zandvoort. And Hells on Threads said, my realistic brain says top 3 is Max, Lando, Oscar. My Delulu brain says Lando, Oscar, Lewis, and Checo will just make the top 10. My realistic brain says Max Verstappen's winning. I like a Lando and Oscar podium situation. I would love a Lando, Oscar, Lewis. I would love a Charles, Lando, Oscar. A Charles, Carlos, Oscar. I would love so many combinations, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, we can only have one winner. It's probably going to be Max Verstappen. And that is everything for my predictions for the Dutch Grand Prix. I am so excited to have cars back on track this weekend. I cannot wait to just soak it all up and just bask in the glory of Formula One's return. I will see you on Friday after practice. I'm so excited for the return of our practice debriefs, our quali debriefs, our race chats. I'm just so excited to get into it all. Oh, I love Formula One so much. But as I said, that is everything from us. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you soon. I love you. Bye.